Welcome to Unlock 360, the podcast for champions of public education. Here we explore the connection between leadership, teaching, and learning, and reveal the keys to getting better results for all students. Each episode highlights a change maker who's turning vision into action and creating schools where both educators and students thrive. Hey, y'all, super excited to welcome Dr. Jim Sebert, Superintendent of Waukesha Schools in Wisconsin, to the show. Dr. Sebert is the very first guest from the beautiful state of Wisconsin. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm glad to be here.
We're so happy to have you. Will you please just kick us off with a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. So as you said, my name is Jim Sebert. I'm proud to be the superintendent here in the School District of Waukesha, which is in southeastern Wisconsin, about 20 minutes from Milwaukee, if that helps people kind of get a feel of where it's located. We are a suburban school district. We're the seventh largest school district in the state of Wisconsin. I've been here, I'm starting my seventh year, and also just recently completed my 30th year overall in education. So it's a real privilege to lead the School District of Waukesha. We have some great things that we're proud of that we can talk about. We are a debt-free school district, which is rare. And we also have the top report card of the Big Ten school districts in Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, there are 425 school districts roughly. But so to be where we are in terms of our achievement and our fiscal health, we're very proud of that. Very proud of the teachers and support staff, the principals. That's where the magic happens in the classroom. And we do everything we can to divert as many resources as possible to those individuals and to our students.
Okay, well, this is awesome. I am super excited to get into more of those details. First, will you please share with us, what inspired you to go into education?
I loved going to school as a kid. And I think it was when I was in high school that I started to think, this is really what I want to do with the rest of my life. And going to school every day of my life has been just an absolute privilege. And quite honestly, just as of July 1st, I published a book called Going to School, A Life in Education. That's a reflective memoir on those 30 years in education, which I'm proud of. So it really tells the story. Thanks a lot of the people that inspired me, a lot of the people that mentored me. And I've just been very fortunate to have some incredible opportunities as a teacher, an assistant principal, a principal, and now a superintendent in my third district here in Waukesha.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to learning from you, Dr. Sebert. It's not very often that we have superintendents with as much tenure as you have and experience across multiple districts. Occasionally, but it's there's quite a few new folks in the seat these days. So it's really nice to have someone with that experience.
Thank you.
And tell us once more, your book was published
July 1st, so very recently, and it's just a story. It's my story of my life, essentially, and I'm hoping that the people that have read it have told me that they're finding themselves in it. Right, their experiences are linking and connecting, and so it was a fun thing to do. It was something that, as I was wrapping up coming to the end of my 30th year, and then compiling that with the fact that my son, who played college basketball, graduated. So all of a sudden I had a lot of free weekends from mid-October to mid-March that I used for the book instead of traveling to games all over the state of Wisconsin and beyond. So yeah, a very neat opportunity and something that I'm proud of. And ultimately I've always talked about going to school being what I've loved to do, and that's the reason it's the title. And I just do love going to school, and I think it's a real privilege. The one thing I love about education too is that it's the one profession where we get that continual annual renewal cycle, right? Most jobs, you just keep going to those jobs. And so we try to really take advantage of, we'll start school here in just under a month, really maximizing that fresh start, right? It's a time to start over. If you're a kid that wasn't doing so great, you can start over, right? And you can have a better year. If you were a staff member who had a rough patch, it's an opportunity for you to start over too. So just trying to take advantage of those opportunities that are unique to education, I think, is what makes it really special to me.
Yeah, so well said. I don't guess I think about that often enough, but yeah, you're right. And where else do you get to do that?
It is unique to education, I think, as I can't think of another profession that gets that annual renewal and that fresh start and an opportunity to essentially start over and recreate yourself.
Yeah, yeah, it does make it really exciting. And you should be proud. Going to school, your first book, yes.
Absolutely, yes.
That's so cool. I'm going to have to pick up a copy and put it on my shelf after I read it, because while I'm reading it, they're here, there, and everywhere. But
Sure.
yeah, okay. Well, that's wonderful. And Dr. Sebert, you must, I guess that's definitely one of the things that you love, because you wouldn't still be serving as a superintendent. You must also love leading a school district. And so just kind of, can you shed some light on, I don't think you would have taken a job as superintendent for the third time if you didn't love it. So can you
I
some light on what you love about it?
absolutely do love it. So of the 30 years in education, 20 of them have been as a superintendent. I've been a superintendent for a long time. I really view the superintendency, and I always have, as a lifestyle as opposed to a job, because
Okay.
you're never not it, right? So whether you're in the grocery store or you are out in the community or you're at school, you're always the superintendent. And so throughout my life, as my kids grew up in my schools and in my districts, that was our life, right? Our Friday nights were football games and
Yeah.
concerts and plays and musicals, and Saturdays and Sundays the same, right? And so it became what my wife and my two kids and I did, and that fueled that lifestyle philosophy for me, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's always helped me just be present, know it's who I am, and I'm always it. And it really helps me stay balanced and stay level. And I think that's critically important for a superintendent when you're leading the district and people are watching your lead and taking direction from you. When you are consistent and level and balanced, I think that goes a long way. And that's really what I strive to do.
Yes. So very well said. Thank you. You know, I, for our audience, the way the show works is that we do want to understand, what you're seeing in K-12 leadership, and where you were when you stepped into the role there in Waukesha. I messed that up.
Waukesha, you're close.
Okay, what you learned when you stepped into the role there in Waukesha, and where the district was, where you are now, and where you're
Sure.
heading in terms of improving outcomes for kids, and other challenges that you could be facing. So, with that, will you take us on a journey? Like, what was it like when you first started your role in Waukesha?
Oh, sure. So this is quite a story, actually. So I came to Waukesha in July of 2020. So 3 months into COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came wearing a mask, having meetings like this with people wearing masks, and to an entirely new community where I didn't know anyone. And so my whole first year trying to build relationships, which is critically important for a superintendent, right? Not
Yeah.
only within the district, but in the community and the business community, with parents, with community partners. All of those things were strained, right? Because it was COVID, and we were trying to get our schools back up and running. And I was trying to make decisions and make recommendations in a community where I had no accumulated trust. And so that was a unique time to come to a district. We weathered all of those things. We made the best decisions we could. And when I came to Waukesha, Waukesha was a strong financial district, but it was also one that didn't have any curricular resources to speak of. The teachers were doing self-curation. And in the seventh largest school district in the state, it's hard to have consistency in expectations and work within parameters, which was one of the things I talked a lot about in terms of my leadership style. We wanted to work within parameters, and we wanted to have a school system as opposed to a system of schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so over time, in my tenure, we've had a great supportive board. My board has turned over significantly. We have a 9-member board. And when I came in 2020, there's only one board member that remains that hired me. So I have a completely new board in a very short period of time. Every board member I've had has been excellent and great to work with. And we have spent over $11 million on guaranteed and viable curriculum in that 6-year period as I start year 7. What that has allowed us to do is create that consistency across the various levels of the district. It's allowed us to have coaching that is impactful. It's allowed us to have better professional development that has been impactful. And we are showing, when I say we have the top report card of the top 10 districts in Wisconsin, we always didn't, right? We do now because of all of that consistency and the trajectory that we see within our student learning data from just 21, 22 to now our most recent report card, which was 24, 25. We have had between, I believe it's about 17 points of growth in 17 to 20 points of growth percentage-wise in both English language arts and math. And so we're moving from the 30 percentile area and up to the 50, approaching 60% of our kids being proficient, which we're very, very proud of. And again,
Amazing.
it's a huge, though, kudos to our teachers and to our principals and all the people that are in the classrooms making the magic happen. What I feel our job is, and what the job of the superintendent, the cabinet, the board is to create the conditions, right? Provide the resources, provide the support, block, plow, and keep all of the political other stuff out of the classroom, right? So that the schools are allowed to flourish, do the work that they're designed to do, and ultimately have the resources that they need to be successful. And so we just continue to do that work. We believe that is the right work in Waukesha, and we're going to continue to do that work. And we think we're going to continue to see really a nice trajectory in terms of student achievement. And then at the same time, just as of April of 2026, we became a debt-free school district. So the School District of Waukesha passed a $60 million referendum in 2018 before I got here. Most school districts in Wisconsin take out a 20-year loan to pay back a referendum. The board at that time took out a 10-year loan, and we were able to pay ahead to get it taken care of even earlier than that, so in 8 years. So we're very proud of that. We've saved the taxpayers millions of dollars in interest, and the community appreciates that. We have the lowest tax rate in Waukesha County, which is the third largest county in the state of Wisconsin. And ultimately, I believe that's accurate data, but I'd have to verify that. But in terms of the size of the county, I think I'm right. But we're just really proud of both of those pieces. And so when we're meeting with our legislators this summer and telling our Waukesha story, it's really one of fiscal responsibility and student achievement can coexist, right? And we're telling that story because it's a unique story. We're not a district that's going to go to operational referendum. We believe we have our due diligence to do. We are facing declining enrollment. We are facing a decline in the birth rate. And so we have been really taking those matters into our own hands. We've recently closed multiple schools in order to be more efficient. We think we can, because of the consistency that we've built and all those things I've talked about with curriculum and professional development, we can move kids around, we can move teachers around and have the same consistent expectations because of that consistency that we've built, and just have a smaller footprint of a school district and ultimately align the resources better than we could if we had more schools that were not very full.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. There's a lot that I'd love to talk about there. So staying with the topic of consistency, that is something that I'm very passionate about. And to elaborate on that, what I mean is it's really eye-opening, which, you've served now in a few different school districts. So, like when you are within one school district, the variance that can occur from building to building is huge. And the variance in outcomes for kids that occurs from classroom to classroom within a single school can be double that. I think John Hattie had some research that showed on average the variance within a single school building from classroom to classroom could be up to 67%, percentage of different, where like from building to building or district to district, it may be about 30, 35, 37, 33, something like that. Don't quote my numbers, but the point is that it's huge either way you look at it. And so it's really awesome that you've all been able to bring some consistency and reduce some of that variance. I'm really passionate about that, and I think the other piece there that is can be a challenge when districts have a declining enrollment and a lot of school sites is that then you frequently have grade level teams that may only be one or two teacher teams, and it's hard for them to develop that collective efficacy or that they need to move the needle.
Absolutely. And speaking of Hattie, collective efficacy, right, is the top
Right.
performer, right, in terms of student achievement. So yes, you're exactly right. If I brought you to Waukesha, we do cabinet visits to our schools, and we'll do multiple schools in a day. If I took you to 3 elementaries and we went in 3 second grade rooms in those different elementaries, you would see essentially the same thing. Because not only do we have the same resources, but we have pacing guides, and we are aligned because we do have some transiency, right? And we have some schools that are very high poverty, and then we have some schools that are very affluent, all in the School District of Waukesha. But there's no difference in the expectations for any of those schools. Mm-hmm. And actually, our school with the most free and reduced lunch, the most diversity, is achieving at the same rate in English language arts, and is actually out achieving the district in math as a whole. So
I love that.
that is, and that's a school that we merged 2 schools together that were using a combined 42% of their capacity. So it wasn't making sense to keep both schools open. We put them together. We were able to put the staffs together. We used a 2-principal model to get it off the ground. We loaded it with behavioral support resources and coaching resources. And ultimately, the amount of work that they've been doing in these, it started out rough. There's no way around it, right? It was an uphill battle, but they believed that they could do it. We believed that they could do it. And now that school is recognized by the state of Wisconsin as a school of recognition. And as I said, it's outperforming all of our other schools in our district average in math, and it's holding steady in English language arts. So you just can't put a price tag on what it means to have that consistency and that belief, that self-efficacy amongst the teachers. And as you well know, in knowing schools, I mean, it takes a special person to work in a school like that. And that's not for everybody, right? But we have exactly who we need in that school, and they are crushing it, and we are exceptionally proud of them.
Yes, and that just, it touched my heart. And, I guess I kind of giggled to hold back some potential tears of like, just, that's so cool and so exciting. Not to say that I don't want all of your schools to be like, achieving just as high,
Oh, right.
Right. Of course. But that is really cool. So
what's cool is, when I talk about the trajectory that we have, that means all of our schools are rising, right? And so a lot of times I think people expect like your most impoverished school is going to be lagging behind, and it's anything but, right? So do they have a different level of resources than some of our other schools? Yes, they do. But it's appropriate and it's working. And so, we're really excited about what we're doing. We're doing a lot of, obviously, with the school closures that we did. This will be the first school year where we'll have the reduced footprint. So we'll go from 11 elementary schools to 9. We'll go from 3 traditional middle schools to 2. And then we're actually taking our 2, we had an elementary STEM charter school and a middle school STEM charter school, and we're merging them together in the vacant middle school that we're closing. So we're reducing our footprint by 5 buildings. And ultimately, like I said earlier, we are confident in being able to do that because of the consistency that we've established across the system, really, truly with the support of our Board of Education.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you can't beat a supportive board with the right priorities. You just can't beat them. Yeah.
No, they're absolutely supportive. And the fact that they were willing to allow us to do this right sizing and district consolidation work, and then support it and make the tough vote and make the tough decisions. There aren't a lot of boards that are willing to do that,
Yeah.
right? So exceptionally grateful, and certainly I never take that for granted.
Yeah. In your previous experience as superintendent in other districts, did you have to close or make those tough decisions to close campuses? Had you already had experience with that, or was this the first?
This was the first time.
First
Yeah.
time.
So I had not had any experience. My first school district was the school district of North Fond du Lac. We were about 1,250 kids. It was a very small school district, but it was a great experience because in addition to being the superintendent, I was the curriculum director, I was the human resources person, and I oversaw the facilities.
Okay.
So I really learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because my hands were in everything. I then had the opportunity to go to the Fond du Lac School District, which is the school district in which I grew up, in the schools that I went to. And I was there for 11 years. Quite honestly, I didn't know that I would ever leave. It was a real privilege. There were some teachers still there when I came back as the superintendent that I had as teachers, which was really quite special. So I had a great opportunity there. We were creating some things, right? We created a STEM charter school in partnership with Mercury Marine, which is a global leader in marine outboards, located in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. We passed a $98.5 million referendum to upgrade all of our buildings when I was in Fond du Lac. Those were some of the big achievements. We created an architecture, construction, and engineering academy at our high school. There was just one high school in Fond du Lac with just a ton of business partners that committed to not only cash resources, but to come and teach and help support our teachers with various different projects. So a lot of great things in that regard. When I came to Waukesha, we obviously had to work through COVID out of the gate. I was just we were helping lead Fond du Lac through COVID right before I came. And then ultimately really got into looking at our enrollment trends and saying, not only do we need to invest in curriculum, but we probably need to tighten our belt in terms of how many schools we truly have so that we can maximize the resources that we're fortunate to get from the state of Wisconsin and from our local community.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then you've got some experience with two things that many superintendents are facing. I think I'm going to say most, and I could be wrong. It seems most are looking at declining enrollment and having to potentially make some hard choices with the number of schools or buildings. And there have been a few guests that are growing and
Sure.
learning how to navigate that change as well. So if we could start with the school, having to close some schools, can you shed some light on lessons that you've learned or things that have helped you all be successful?
Sure. So we started the process in April of 2025. We had been planning it for a few months prior to that to get ready. We gave it a title. We called it Optimizing Our Future because we saw it as a way to not only tighten the belt, but to direct resources more efficiently by having a smaller district footprint. Throughout the process, we had 3 phases. We started with an information sharing process we had staff meetings and community meetings, just really sharing the story of the decline in the birth rate.
Okay.
That's been occurring in Wisconsin since 2000 and across the country since 2008. And we had slides that showed it, decreasing in the United States, decreasing in Wisconsin, but then in Waukesha County, even decreasing at a greater rate. So we also showed that over the past 20 years, we've lost 25.5% of our student population. We were at a high point in 2012, 2013 at a little over 13,000 students. Now we find ourselves right around 10,600. And we show those trends continuing through 2035 through studies that we've had completed for us. And ultimately tried to paint the picture of why this was an important process and important work for us. We then proceeded into a information gathering summer, and we had 9 meetings in the first part, and we had a total of 37 community meetings by the time we were all said and done.
Wow.
And ultimately, our board made a decision in November we presented 4 different ideas all summer long, different plans of how we could attack this. Because of the community feedback, we created new plans that we presented to the board, which I think was a real strength of the process.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we got different ideas. We didn't come in with predetermined ideas or predetermined outcomes. We were really trying to listen and gather feedback. And so ultimately, our board then wanted different plans from even the ones that we had come back with and created new. And so we ended up with the first plans were plans A through D. Those went by the wayside. We created plans E and F and a G, actually, at their request. And then ultimately, we ended up with 2 variations of Plan E, an E1 and an E2, that they wanted to see. And ultimately, they selected the Plan E1 that did what I described earlier in terms of the school consolidations and closures. So doing that in November then gave us the rest of last school year to plan and get that all lined up, get everybody boxed up, get everybody reassigned, get teachers going to the schools they're going to go to, get principals reassigned, every employee group, quite honestly, right? You're talking about custodians when you have closed buildings, secretaries, instructional assistants, every employee group had to be redesigned and repurposed and reallocated. And so now this summer has been just a busy summer of moving all of those boxes, right? So we have an intense labeling system. We know where all those boxes are going. We had set August 15th as the date that we would start reopening schools, and we actually are opening schools some of our schools starting today. So we're running ahead of schedule. Very proud of our custodial and maintenance group for the work that they've done on that moving front. And no doubt in our minds that we are going to be successful come September 1 when we kick off a new school year.
Wow, that's really amazing. So you started in May. You started the conversations May of last school year.
April of 25, yes.
April of 25. So here it is a year and a half later. You've done a lot of work. You all have done a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. Those meetings last summer, 37 of them, they were 90 minutes per meeting, and we did them at various different times. We did some Spanish only sessions. We did a Saturday one. We did night ones. We did them in the morning. We did them in the afternoon, trying to make sure that we could meet people where they are, in terms of their work schedule and the responsibilities with their children and so forth. Lots of input. We took all that input, we synthesized all that information to create those new plans and new ideas. And really what we found during that entire process, during those 90-minute sessions, we would start in a big group and we would outline in about 10 minutes what the purpose of our time together was.
Yeah.
And then we would break into smaller groups, and my cabinet members would lead those groups and describe each of the plans, A through D, and then get the feedback using Post-it notes that we could then ultimately take pictures of and use artificial intelligence to summarize, which was pretty amazing because we had, thousands of Post-it notes after 37 community meetings. But what was unique about the entire process, first and foremost, it was all we did as a cabinet, right, is plan for it, orchestrate it, reflect on it. It brought us together. We have a very strong cabinet, but we became even tighter through that work. And then they would lead it. I would bounce between the groups. So I wasn't only in one group, right? I could go between all the groups. The other thing that we saw throughout that entire process is in 90 minutes, oftentimes when people would come into the room, they were anxious. They were angry. There's
a lot of emotion
That's totally expected and normal. And by the time we got done using those small groups, most people, if not I would say the absolute vast majority, agreed that we needed to do something. They saw the challenge, they saw the numbers, they saw all the data. What we could never come to the consensus on is what that should be, right? Because everybody had these different ideas, right? And it's hard for a parent to come in and say, or a staff member to say, I understand why you should, and I think you should close my school. It's hard, right? It's hard to say that. And so ultimately, that's why I give our board so much credit, because they were able to endure all of that. They came and watched a lot of those sessions, would sit in the back so that they could hear what people were saying, so that they could, have their own experience in addition to the data that we provided them. And then ultimately, when we were able to come to the consensus around the option E1, ultimately we felt like we really had listened. We really had tried to get as much information from the community and from our staff as we possibly could. And ultimately, it was tough work. It's not anything that anybody wants to do, right? It's not fun by
No.
any stretch of the imagination, but it's necessary work, right? In a district where, and quite honestly, across the country, most likely at some point,
Yeah.
as the birth rate just continues to be lower than normal and enrollment declines, with the fact that there are multiple options for families to choose from, which at its core is great, right? Whether it's a religious or school, whether it's a private school, whether it's a charter that's about a private independent charter, whatever it might be. Virtual schools have been a really big thing in Wisconsin. There's more and more of those all the time. So it's great for parents to have those opportunities, but it means that for all of us, there's fewer kids at the end of the day, period. And then those kids have more choices and those families have
Right.
more choices. So
Right.
we thought it was the right work to do. And we are excited to kick off a new school year here in just a few weeks in a redesigned School District of Waukesha. And we're really kind of taking advantage of that too. We're redoing our branding. We're really kind of redoing doing our website. We're trying to say, like, it's going to look different, but it's going to be good, and it has the potential to be even better than what we were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I have to birdwalk here just a moment. I was working with a school site leadership team last week in California, and one of the I pulled out a Diet Coke today. I have Diet Pepsi. Pulled out a
Sure.
Diet Coke from my bag. And one of the team members said, I think educators are addicted to Diet Coke. And I said, I think we're addicted to being busy.
Mm-hmm.
What you just described, and also you're leading a district, and you were attending sporting events for your own family, and then you wrote a book. So
Sure. We do like to be busy. And I have a deputy superintendent that I think essentially runs on Diet Coke.
oh yeah,
She absolutely loves it.
that's great. Okay. Okay, and then how about on the flip side, in your previous school district, it sounds like you all were expanding some programs, or um, redoing some buildings or
Mhm.
properties, and um, kind of different kinds of a different way of looking at leading that kind of a change. What lessons did you learn, or what was successful about that?
Well, we broke the referendum. It was 98.5 million total, but we broke it into two questions because one of the questions was we were trying to do something for every school to give everybody a win, right? Whether you're a staff member or a parent. We started with all of our staff, and we called them ambassadors, right? So we would work with our staff to teach them about the referendum and then answer their questions using a product called Thought Exchange, where we could get all that information and then push it back to them. And so when they're talking to their neighbors and they're in the grocery store and they're doing all those things too, they can be ambassadors for what we're trying to accomplish and explain the why. And then the reason for two questions was one was the major one, which was all of the safety and security upgrades, the building upgrades, carpet, flooring, LED lighting, all those kind of things. And then there was a smaller question that was around 8 million, if I remember, for air conditioning, the buildings that didn't have air conditioning.
Okay.
And we wanted to separate that out because we spent a lot of time at the senior center and they were like, you don't need air conditioning. It's not that hot in Wisconsin. It's not that warm all the time, right? And we didn't want the entire thing to fail because the air conditioning brought it down, right? So we were willing to separate it out and say, well, if we can't get the air conditioning, we can live with that as long as we can get ideally all the other things that are going to improve the educational experience for the students and
Yeah.
teachers. And so through all of our community meetings, and we had many there, I did woodworking, I shot pool, I went to a senior dance. We did a lot of time at the senior center trying to really get those people, and then all of our community groups, right? The Rotaries, the Optimist clubs, all those, and then a number of community sessions too, right? Where we would tell the story, and you can't like encourage people to vote for it, but you can inform them, right, of
Yes.
what this would mean for them if they do. And so ultimately we were successful on both of those questions, and I think it was because we spent a lot of time with the people, right, and ultimately differentiating those questions and then really teaching the community about what this would mean for us. They're now in a position too, where now I'm starting my 7th year in Waukesha, so I've been gone for 7 years,
Yeah.
where enrollment is starting to become an issue for them too.
Okay.
And so they're having some of those same conversations that
Yeah.
we've been having here in Waukesha. And so ultimately, there are some districts in Wisconsin too that are growing. They have abilities to build more housing. They have some vacant land.
Yeah.
They have things like that
Right.
are helpful. We are not one of those. We're basically built out in Waukesha, and so we don't see that being our future. And so ultimately, it's a different job, but it's definitely a meaningful job. And ultimately, I've said in a couple of times, like, it's the same process. A referendum or a campaign to close schools, they're both campaigns, right? The challenge or the difference is in a referendum, people are getting something. In the work that we did with our optimizing our future process, we're taking things away,
Yeah.
right? We're ultimately going to reduce things. And so part of our discussion has been, and part of our ongoing discussion is, what can we do in a smaller footprint? So part of that is less traveling teachers, right? Because the buildings are bigger, to your earlier point. When the buildings are bigger, you can keep the Phy Ed teacher there all day in the elementary. You can keep the music teacher there all day, the art teacher, right? And that provides you then people that can do interventions,
Yeah.
people that can do extra supports, people that can push in and come together, right?
There's so many benefits to that.
So many benefits to not traveling people. So we've tried to tell some of those stories, right? Because we're making some of our elementaries quite a bit bigger than they were, we're adding some deans for behavior support in some of these schools, right? We're trying to look at what can we do differently, right, to make sure that this project is successful, and trying to tell that story too, right? So like, we did take some things away, but we also now have made, we think, things better in a smaller footprint because we don't have the resources spread as widely.
Yes, and I could not agree more. And I do think that you're going to continue to see that upward trajectory in terms of outcomes for kids, because the opportunity for collective expertise and developing that collective efficacy and teams of teachers is going to be even bigger than it was.
I think so too. And to your earlier point, I mean, we're talking 3-section schools for the most part, right? Which means you have 3 grade level teachers that can be a professional learning community. They can be a team that works together, that plans together, that looks at their data together. They can regroup their kids, right? And so I take the ones that are struggling. If we're on this 3rd grade team, you take the kids that need enrichment and growing opportunities.
Yeah.
It just is more effective, right? And then we have enough other adults in the building that can push in help. We have coaching in these buildings. We have other levels of supports that we're excited about. And you can't necessarily do that in a building where you're using 42% of the capacity, right?
It's very challenging.
You're traveling all these people in and out because they don't need it all day, where now we're trying to take out some of that variability and keep people in buildings more frequently.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dr. Sebert, when you look back on leading this transformation in Waukesha and leading the referendum in your previous district, is there anything you would do differently in either case?
I think I've learned a lot through both of those processes. When I talk about the school that's our most impoverished, that's exceeding us, the district in math, that's the one where we combined the 2 schools together that were using the 42.5%. We started planning that in October of a school year. We then, I don't know if you ever have heard about the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy.
No, I have not.
So it was there was a gentleman that drove a car through a parade and killed multiple people. One of our
Okay.
high school bands was hit pretty badly,
That's
and
terrible. Yes.
nobody died from the high school band, but there were some significant injuries. That happened in November, and
Now
so
that you say that, I think I have. I
maybe you
just
have. Yeah,
living here
yeah,
have not
it's
attached the the town of Waukesha
sure.
to the
Yeah.
tragedy. Yeah.
So that happened in our community. And
Okay.
so obviously that became everything we focused on from the time it happened in early November through the Christmas break or the holiday break. We came back to then that discussion about merging the schools in January, and the board ultimately approved it in March, and everybody thought it felt fast. And it was fair for them to feel that way. Like
Yeah.
it did seem fast because of that couple
Yeah.
months that we weren't able to do much with it. So that was what led us to have that 37 community meeting process in the
Yeah.
optimizing process. Because we said we are going to take our time, we are going to do our due diligence, we are going to get as much input and as much feedback so people don't feel like we were rushing,
Okay.
right? So that was a story that was something we learned. And as we got done with the optimizing process, by the time we got to November, the board was we said by December was the goal, like no later than December for us to implement it for the next school year.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we got to November, they said, like, we don't know that you could give us any more information. We think we need to make a decision, right? So I think we got to a point where was 37 maybe too many? We don't know that, right? Like
Yeah.
was that length of time too much? But we didn't want to do it fast like we were, told we did with the merger of the two schools. So we learned that. We tried to slow down and really take our time with the process and offer as many possibilities as we could. So that was a big learning that I had. If we had to go to a referendum here in Waukesha, I would draw on the experiences that I had in Fond du Lac and
Mhm.
remember exactly how we
Yeah.
did that. Like I said earlier, it has a lot of parallels to a school closure process. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things that are very similar. So I think I've been fortunate to have both of those opportunities, right?
Yeah.
To learn and to be able to then reflect on how they went and how can I be better? How can the process be better? And ultimately, how can the community be heard and be
Yeah.
engaged?
Yeah. Thank you. I think that is super helpful for some of our listeners. And um, I don't know. I have worked with districts that have taken longer than that. And it seems like it was the right balance of urgency and taking your time ultimately. Yeah. So well done.
Thank you.
I also would love to just learn a little bit, have you shed some light on your KPIs?
Sure. So KPIs, key performance indicators. When I came to Waukesha, we created a large book of key performance indicators, which actually were way too many, reflecting back. We were trying to measure everything and everything, it felt like. And really what we did as our board evolved, and we have some strong members of the business community on our
Okay.
board, and really refined down into a manageable number of key performance indicators. So in teaching and learning, we look at reading and math, 3rd and 8th grade, those research points, right? If a student can read by 3rd grade,
Yeah.
if they can complete algebra by 8th grade, those are two huge accomplishments that put them on a great track for high school graduation. And then we also measure our ACT performance. And then we look at our teacher retention rate. Our goal is 92% or higher, and we are at 92%.
Nice.
So
Okay.
we are excited about that. The statewide average is about 15%, and
Wow.
we're at 8%. So we feel really good about that. We have a attendance KPI in student services and special education, that department, for all kids, right? Because we know that when kids are at school, they achieve better.
Yes.
And part of that is being engaged with high energy teachers that are using guaranteed and viable curriculum and strong pedagogy.
Yeah.
So we're really locked into that. And then we have a financial KPI that really looks at having a clean audit year in and year out, and we've been very successful in that regard too. And being debt-free speaks, I think, volumes about
Yes.
the work that we're doing on the financial side of the house. So those are the things we measure. Those are the things we talk about and report out in our committees on how we're doing. Some of them, I mean, that audit one, right? You can only do it once a year, right? We report on it when we get the audit back. The
Yeah.
attendance one we do on a regular
Ongoing.
basis in our
Yeah.
student services committee, right? We're looking at it, we're trending it, we're looking at where we can improve. And so there's a combination of ones that we can do on a more regular basis and ones that are more annual. But ultimately, we think less is more in that regard. Doesn't mean that we're not looking at other data, right? Doesn't mean that we're not using formative assessments in the classrooms to drive instruction, that we're not waiting just on the summatives. So we're doing all those things too. We're just measuring to the community those ones I mentioned, and ultimately, reporting out on those while we do all the other work behind the scenes and have great people doing it.
Yeah. It's really cool. Really good stuff. Dr. Jim Sebert, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show and learning about all the things you're doing there in Waukesha. And it just sounds like a really cool place to teach or to serve as, a paraprofessional or maybe even as an administrator. Where could someone go if they want to learn more?
Oh, sure. So they can just Google the School District of Waukesha. It's spelled Waukesha. Our website is sdw.k12.wi.us. People can visit that as well. And it's a great community. It's a great school district. And we're always, while we do have a 92% teacher retention rate, that does mean we do have opportunities too, right? We still have openings, and we have openings in every employee group, generally speaking, periodically. But yeah, we would welcome people to Waukesha. We'd welcome people to the beautiful state of Wisconsin. And while our winters can be a little bit rough at times, we do have a wonderful summer and a wonderful fall for the most part.
Okay, yeah, sounds pretty opposite from where I'm at.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And then certainly, last but certainly not least, I want to give you an opportunity to recognize someone who's had a positive impact on your life as an educator or an educational leader.
Oh my gosh. So when I think about that, I think obviously that's what my book that I described earlier is really about, right? And reflecting on those people. The person in the book that I call my second father is a gentleman named Coach Dick Diener. And so he was my high school basketball coach. I met him as a young boy when he walked up my driveway when I was out shooting baskets almost like every single day. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he's here and he's talking to me. And I was young, right? And before I was anywhere close to high school, but he really inspired me to want to be a great basketball player, but he inspired me also to be a great person. And he really did become like a second father to me through high school. I came back after college and I coached with him a little bit when I was a teacher. And before that, I actually student taught with him. So I was able to learn from him as a student teacher too. So I can never say thank you enough to him for all of his mentoring and all of the examples that he set for me. It has a huge impact on where I am today. And there's no doubt in my mind that I wouldn't be where I am today without his leadership, his mentoring, and his guidance.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Jim. It's been awesome having you on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Wendy. It's been a real pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity.
And that's a wrap, everyone. Till next time.
Thank you for joining us on Unlock 360. If this conversation sparked new thinking, share it with a colleague and keep the dialogue going in your school district. Public education is complex work, and progress happens when leadership and teaching move together. I'm Wendy York Davoud. Until next time, keep building the systems that unlock what's possible, because strong leadership drives deeper learning.